All right. All right. We are at our third update. We are talking with Dr. Sherice Janaye Nelson. How you doing, Dr. Nelson?
Girl, it's already been an eventful day. As I told you, I'm here back at home in California to vote, and when I showed up to vote, they tried to give me a provisional ballot.
Why?
So it's already, yeah, because the one of the poll workers heard me state that I teach at Southern University down in Louisiana. And when she heard this, she came in and said, well, how can you live in two places and all this other kind of stuff? I said, I'm registered to vote here in the state of California. I have an ID that says that says such. I had my ID and well, I had my ID, I had my ballot. Now, let me tell you about what happens in California. In California, they mailed out ballots to everyone. They mailed everybody a ballot. 1 second. So I have my mother helping me out getting the TV ready for me so I can look at these numbers. And so it was crazy because she tried to get me to vote with a provisional. And the reason I ended up going in to vote was because I had my paper ballot. And I asked them, how are you guys confirming addresses? I mean, not confirming address, confirming signatures, because you have to sign the back. And when you sign the back, I said, well, what are you comparing the signature to? And he said, we're comparing it to the signature that you used when you signed up to vote. Now, the problem for that for me was I don't know if I signed it with a J or not, right? My middle name is Janaye. So I don't know if I signed it Sherice J. Nelson or if I just signed it Sherice Nelson. I signed my ballot Sherice Nelson. So for me, if I can't remember how I signed it, and this is what they're going to match the signature up against, and by the time I find out that my ballot is basically been nullified, it's too late. So I said, you know what? I'll hold on to the one that you've mailed to me because I don't know about the matching signature. Luckily, I'm in a liberal state, so it's not as much of an issue. But I'll go inside to vote. And when I went to go inside to vote, then this lady was trying to tell me I needed a provisional. I said, lady, if you don't sit down, you don't know who you talking to. You didn't. And so luckily another poll worker got involved and was like, no, she's registered in this county. This is where she can vote, et cetera, et cetera. So I've already had some fireworks in my own situation. My parents, when they went down, didn't have a problem today. They just dropped off their ballots at the drop off box. Like I stated before, my sister voted in Georgia in early voting in Clayton County. So I've actually had some experiences myself today with voting, everything going on.
Well, you had foresight because when we spoke last week, you said that you were flying to California because you didn't trust the process. So I'm glad you trusted your gut and had that foresight and flew out. So now let's get to the get down in terms
These
of what
numbers.
is going on. Yeah, give it to me, sis. What's up?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things I think people are surprised about is Florida, and I'm not. And what we're starting to see already in Florida is that we're not seeing, Miami-Dade County is where Democrats do well, right? There's pockets of blue in the state of there's pockets of blue in the state of Florida, and they're surrounded by these cities, Tampa Bay, Miami, and then depending on which way, sometimes Orlando, but there's just pockets, Jacksonville, Orlando area.
Right.
And so
Tallahassee.
Tallahassee sometimes, right? So these blue pockets are, in my opinion, are then reflexive of the urban nature, right? They're urban, not necessarily urban cities, but they're the urban nature, right? They're not rural or designed to be seen as rural. And so the scary part right now, well, for some Democrats, is that Miami-Dade County is a county where there should be a lot larger of a lead. And I think the last time I looked, we were talking about an 8% lead, with about 90% of the ballots that had already been counted in that county. And what people, I think, have not taken into consideration is that the Cuban vote. We haven't had, so
we've talked about the Cubans two people ago. So wait, so kind of back up. So what?
Yeah.
So are Republicans in the lead by 8%?
No. Oh. So right now Florida's too close to call. But the places that Democrats need to be looking in Florida are Miami-Dade County, or basically all the places where we see cities that encompass these urban kind of areas. And
Mhm.
those areas, as we've said, are
Mhm.
Jacksonville, Orlando, Tallahassee,
Right.
Tampa,
Tampa.
Miami-Dade, right? And what
Right.
we're seeing in Miami-Dade is not favorable, because that's a
Mhm.
place in Miami-Dade County where we should have a double digit lead, and right now we have a single digit lead.
Right. Well,
We meaning
and this is
Democrat.
where the Cuban, the Cubans, South Florida Cubans come into place and how strong. But we also have to account for, and I don't know how they're voting, but the influx of Puerto Ricans that
I was about
moved
to
to
say,
Florida.
ooh, you took the words out of my
Oh,
mouth.
okay.
You
Okay.
took the words right out of my mouth. Is that we have not taken into consideration Puerto Ricans, right? And we have to understand that after Maria and the governor down there then supporting Trump played a role in the Puerto Ricans that have been displaced because of Maria and are in South Florida. So that, I mean, you took the
Right.
words out of my mouth. Is that I do not feel that they accurately considered the Cuban vote, and I do not think that they considered this Puerto Rican kind of split. And I think that's because, and we've had this conversation before, is that we like to lump in this idea of Latinx or Latino or Latina, and that
Mhm.
then does not give us the analysis to look at these other subgroups that may be performing or doing things differently, which is another reason why the Trump administration thinks that they can win Nevada, which they're
Mhm.
not, but they
Right.
think that they can win Nevada, right? Because this idea that they're doing well with Latinx voters. You are doing well with certain subsets of
Exactly.
Latinx voters, but the subset of Latinx voters that you're doing well with do not live in the state of Nevada, right? Most
Trust
of those
those the
are
Mexicans, right? Yeah.
most of those are Mexicans, and so you're
Right.
not doing well amongst Mexicans. And we are even looking at an opportunity for you to lose Arizona.
Mhm.
So so this idea that they're doing well, that's the danger when we have this conversation. I think around the idea of Latinx is that you may be in a predicament where you've lumped too many people into one category that then misses the nuances.
Interesting, interesting. I'm glad you brought that. Any other races that you want to bring up that are starting to show
Texas,
some numbers? Okay, let's get to Texas.
Texas.
Let's get to the TX, to the
Yes,
TX. So,
yes, yeah, Texas. And so Texas is going to be very interesting. I'm looking right now. They're coming in, looking at Dallas County, Denton County, the Fort Worth area, and the with 95% in right now, it says in Denton, and Trump is up, but in Dallas County, as we expected, Biden is up, and he's up at double digits right now.
oh,
And
okay.
so, yeah, and so I think tonight Texas is going to be something to watch, and I just think it's going to be something to watch because of what it looks like. I mean, we're getting so narrow there. I mean, we're talking about percentage points apart. So everything again right now, the places that we thought were going to be called have already been called, right?
Mhm.
And then the places that we are looking at, I think that people have not taken into consideration Texas, but Texas is a place, Georgia is a place, and Georgia, I think so. Texas is a place, like I said, because we see this outperformance in Dallas County already. We're already starting to see a level of out. Yeah. So Harris County hasn't come in yet, and everybody knows about the what we've seen in the news today about Harris County and the inclusion of the 127,000 ballots that will be included in Harris County. And so I think Texas is going to make for a long night, but it's somewhere people should also look. And the last place again is Georgia. And the reason
Here
is
we go.
this morning, Gwinnett County, which is a county, is a suburb of Atlanta.
Atlanta. Mhm.
Yeah, Gwinnett County, all of their polling, the power went out, or the machines went down. No, not the power went out, the machines went down.
This has been since day one, since the first day of early voting. This is
Since the first day of early voting.
105 million new system that has been glitching from the first day of early voting.
Sit and to me, what it speaks to is this idea that they um that when Stacey Abrams ran for governor and we saw the issues and the problems in the system, they were extremely highlighted. And so I feel like Georgia, regardless of the fact that Kemp is a Republican governor, he's on the hot seat right now because Republicans and Democrats alike in that state are upset about the idea of being such a national spectacle. And so Gwinnett County is Democrat, it leans Democrat. Well, it's a toss up. It's leaning Democrat right now. I know a voter in particular in Gwinnett County who did early voting, and she had a duplicate record, so that had to be
Mm.
satisfied. But this morning, like I said, they never got the machines back up, so their paper ballots. That's going to be a slow counting process, and so that's going to definitely take us into the night. So those are the places. I think some of the places that people thinking about toss ups are places that are just not toss ups. I believe, and I'll say right now that I do not believe that the Biden Harris ticket will win the state of Florida. I do believe that they will lose the state of Florida. I do believe it's going to go red. And I believe that it's going to go red because for Trump, it's a home state, right? People
Yeah.
often
Yeah.
assimilate or
Mhm.
ascribe New York to him. That's very true, but he
Oh, yeah,
golfs there.
Mar-a-Lago.
He
Hmm.
has, yeah, Mar-a-Lago. He has homes there. So for me, I see Florida to be a home state for Trump. So I've never been one who thought that Florida would I would say in 2020 would go towards the Democrats. So I'm not surprised about what we're seeing in
Hmm.
Florida. But there's some other places that they people have to understand that the Republican Party right now is looking at a Hail Mary. And what I mean by a Hail Mary is that they don't have too many options to get to the 270. Where on the Democratic side, they have far more options about how to get to 270.
Hmm.
So losing Florida for the Democrats is not the end of the night. Whereas if
Okay.
losing Florida for Trump, that's the end of his night.
Right. Okay. That's good to know. So I have a really quick question. Why do you think Texas is going blue?
Oh, I don't know if it's going blue. I just think we need to watch it.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know if we have enough data to know if it's going blue or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying that we need to watch it. And the reason that I really truly believe that we need to watch it is we need to watch it from the perspective of how are they dealing with these votes? Because
Okay.
remember, Harris, and so what I mean by watching it is because remember, Harris County, they tried just today, right, to
Right.
go to
Mm-hmm.
to the appellate court, District 5,
Uh,
because they lost. They lost the state level, right? The Republican appointed judge in the state of Texas said, no, we're going to count these votes. And they tried to appeal to District 5 Circuit Court. They said no. And so that's what I'm saying. We have to watch it. And right now on MSNBC, they're talking about Harris County, right? We're having that conversation constantly in Texas. And right now they're saying that look it up. It's a 42. So 56% for Biden, 42 for Trump right now, based upon the votes that have already been counted.
oh, how many votes
So
have been counted? Are they saying? What's the percentage?
yeah, we're looking right now at about only 20% of
Oh,
the
okay.
only
All right.
20% in.
Yeah,
But
there's.
usually, I mean, in Texas, for him to have that large of a lead even this early on, and I'm not saying it's going to go blue. I think it's going to be thin, but I'm saying it's a place that we need to be watching
Mhm.
because if we, for instance, if we know that there's 2.2 million voters in Harris County, right? I think that's something around there,
Mhm.
and we know that, and we know that in Texas that they are up right now, and
Mhm.
that in early voting in Texas they have voted more in early voting than they've ever voted in the history of the country as a state, right? We've gotten more ballots in regardless of what side. So my thing is we need to watch it because if the numbers are not matching what we know to be true about how many people have already voted, then we have a problem. And so that's what I'm saying about watching it. And I think what we also have to think about is this other piece is that early voting, as we've seen for the most part, has been on the Democratic side. Right,
Mhm.
it's been
Mhm.
about this idea of I don't want to be intimidated at the polls. I don't want there to be an issue. If my ballot is going to then be rejected, I want to know early enough so then I can go vote on election day. Right, all of these types of narratives. And so the walk-up voters, what we're seeing is most walk-up voters are leaning towards Trump. So if Democrats don't have really large leads in places, then they could be in trouble because most of the walk-up vote in these key states or these states that we're watching are usually going for Trump.
Interesting. I have a last question, and then I look forward
Absolutely.
for you answering some other things to think about. How do you think, if it has done so, coronavirus has played into the voting?
How has it? I mean, I think it's totally changed the election. And I
Mm.
believe that it's totally changed the election because I think it's made people even more staunch in their position. That Corona has forced the American electorate to watch and sit in things that we haven't had to. Right, we've had to deal with race in a way because the whole world or this whole country for the most part has been sitting still. Right, things are
Mhm.
closed, businesses are closed. You can't escape it. And so we haven't been able to escape this election. And I think one of the biggest reasons is Corona. And so I think it's totally changed the tenor of the election. And I think it has everything to do with the level of turnout we're seeing, right? Is that people feel very strongly one way or the other about how the president has handled the coronavirus. And it's either a vote against how he's handled it or a vote for how he's handled it. I don't even really believe it's about a Biden Harris ticket. I believe in certain places, right? Like here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Kamala Harris was born in Alameda County, a county that I was born in and was raised in and grew up in. And so I think there's pockets of excitement about about the candidacy of the president and then the vice president. But for the most part, I really believe that this election is a referendum on coronavirus.
Yes, that's a very good point. When we talked there, I know there were some measures in Oakland that were up on the ballot. The next time I would like to know about that and whatever data you can give us, because I know you
Yes.
come with the bling bling and the numbers, and we need that. And I love that.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I look forward to talking to you in a couple of hours. And so
Okay.
please stay safe with your family. And I'm glad you handled that with the voting.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll see you in a couple hours.
All right. Okay.